Hello, hello. Welcome to Verbling. I'm teacher Oakley. And for the next hour here on Verbling, we're going to be looking at quantifiers in English. Quantifiers, of course, quantity means how many or, or how much of something. What is the quantity of something? We frequently use quantifiers in normal English speech. They can be tricky for a couple of reasons. First of all, because some quantifiers are used for countable nouns. Obviously, numbers are quantifiers. 3 cats. Some nouns in English are quantifiable. You could count them. And some are not. Some are uncountable. For example, the word money. Strangely enough, you can't count money. So we have to, quantifiers, there are some that can be used for both countable and uncountable nouns. Some can be only used for countable nouns, and some can be only used for uncountable nouns. Today we're going to look at those, and we're going to practice them. So that's the plan. Hello, Heidi.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. How are you today?
Mentally very busy, but physically not busy.
Mentally busy. Oh, me too, actually. I have quite a few classes today. So mentally busy. And then I'm tasked, after I have all these classes, I have to make the New Year's Eve dinner. I've been tasked.
Yes, that's later, end of the year. So I need to do a lot of things, but
Yeah.
I can't think what I need to do at first.
Yeah. Well, I have to cook dinner later. Oh boy. Okay. In any case, we're going to look at quantifiers. So I'm going to jump right into it here, and I'm going to do a screen share so we can look at examples, and then we'll look at
many or much or a lot of.
That's it, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hang on. We've had another student join us. Oh, it's Moham. Hello, Moham. How are you today?
Hi, Akli. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm fine, thanks.
Great.
Really good.
Nice to have you back. Good to see you again. And Javier is also joining us today. Hi, Javier.
Hi, Oakley. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Happy New Year.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks a lot. All right. All right, I'm going to do a screen share here. We're going to start talking about quantifiers. Okay, again, what are quantifiers? Quantifiers are... Okay, thanks. Thanks, Javier. I could hear the birds singing. I think those are birds. Anyway, quantifiers. A quantifier is a word or phrase, they can be phrases, which is used before a noun to indicate the amount or the quantity. So some, many, a lot of, a few. These are quantifiers. And again, some can be used with both countable and uncountable nouns, some only for countable nouns, and some only for uncountable nouns. Some quick examples. There are some books on the desk. He's only got a few dollars. How much money have you got? There's a large quantity of fish in this river. He's got more friends than his sister. All right, these are the bold italics in these sentences are quantifiers, and that's how they're used. They obviously appear after the verb, okay, such as there are, and before the noun. There are some books. He's got only okay. there they are. Okay, he has got. Notice one peculiar thing. Well, I don't know, a little different thing about quantifiers. They're going to come right in front of the noun. He has had many problems. So after the auxiliary or helper verbs, but before the noun. So that's a little bit different. A little bit different than other adverbs, which we normally put after the first auxiliary verb. So quantifiers are after, even if there's multiple auxiliary verbs. He is not having much fun. Okay, is, we've got is and not. Okay. Sometimes they come in different positions, but usually right in front of the noun. Okay, let's look at some examples. With uncountable nouns, first of all, and we're going to practice this, we see much, a little, little, very little, which we'll talk about a little bit further down the line. A bit, or sometimes a bit of, a great deal of, a large amount of, a large quantity of, lots of phrases with of. Let's see if I can get you guys to try to make a sentence. We'll take turns with these quantifiers, which we use for uncountable nouns. Heidi, I'll start with you. Just a simple sentence with much, please.
I don't have much money.
I hear you. Christmas kind of wiped me out. Yeah, right. Often, much with money, common. Oh, there's another thing about quantifiers. Sometimes, well, any quantifier will do. There are collocations or common quantifiers that we use, particularly with more abstract nouns. There are collocations that, or common combinations of quantifiers and nouns, and much money is certainly one of them. Now, one thing with much, perfectly good sentence, but notice that Heidi used I don't have much money. She used negative. This is very true. It's kind of odd to say I have much money. That's a little strange. What would be a normal way to say that, Heidi? Instead of saying I have much money. What would be a more normal?
Quantifier.
Yeah.
I want any money or like that.
No. To say probably I would say I have a lot of money. Don't worry, I have a lot of money. Right. It's just a more common collocation. Don't have much money is extremely common. I have a lot of money, to talk about positive, is more common. So when it comes to much is often used with the negative, most commonly with negatives, but sometimes we tend to use a different quantifier for positive. That's kind of the point I was trying to make. It's a little... Sometimes much works for positive, sometimes not so much. Not so much. So we have to also be a little bit aware of collocations that occur. Mulham, I'm going to try a little, or little, or very little in a sentence. Your choice.
I have a little money. I have, yeah.
See if you can come up with a different noun. You can say I have a little money. There's nothing wrong with that. I would like to try to push you guys to think of different nouns.
I have little time I have a little time to learn English.
Great. Good job. You read my mind. actually. Exactly the word I was thinking of, because that's a very strong collocation. We often use little
Very.
with time.
Yeah.
Very common. I have a little time, so let's go shopping. I don't have much time. Again, with the negative, but little to with time, very strong collocation. I have a little time. I have little time. I have very little time. Actually, any of those could be used with time. All right, great. Javier, try a bit of. Now it's going to get more difficult because we've already used money and time. Can you use it with a different uncountable noun?
With money, with the word money?
No, not with money and not with time. See if you can think of another uncountable noun.
Okay, I ate a bit of steak.
Ah, very nice. Good one. Okay, uncountable nouns are common to describe foods. And steak, interestingly, can be countable or uncountable. So Javier's example is perfectly appropriate. We use steak uncountable when we're talking about, all right, a piece of beef, but non-specific. When we're talking about you can cut individual steaks and cook, I cooked 3 steaks on the grill, it can be countable. So, okay, I had a bit of steak at the party, great, that works. Yeah, good one. Lots of foods are uncountable, by the way. Heidi, how about a great deal of?
Okay. Okay. The northern part of Japan had a great deal of snow this winter.
Excellent. Very good. Snow. Things made of tiny little parts are often uncountable, so that's an excellent example. And also another strong location, actually, talking about a great deal of rain, a great deal of snow. Actually, that was a very good example because this particular quantifier is often used to talk about uncountable nouns that deal with weather. A great deal of flooding, a great deal of rain. Absolutely. Very good example. All right. Mulham, how about the next one? A large amount of...
We have a large amount of raw milk to sell today.
A large amount of raw milk to sell today. Maybe you work in a dairy?
Yeah, I might be, but actually no, I am not.
Okay. Well, that's great. Okay. Actually, I love that collocation too. You guys are giving super examples because we often use a large amount of as a quantifier when we're talking about goods for sale. This is very common. Okay. We're trying to ship a large amount of cheese to Venezuela, whatever. Great. We often use this quantifier to talk about commodities, things we sell. Really perfect, spot-on examples you guys are giving me. Javier, what's the last one? A large quantity of...
I have a large quantity of clothes.
Okay, you do? Okay, all
I
right.
wish, but it's just an example.
All right, a large quantity of clothes. Okay, that works. Clothes is another uncountable noun. That is correct. We don't normally say I have 3 clothes. That doesn't really make sense. So yeah, that's all right. That works. Very good. Great. A large quantity goes with a lot of things. Lots of times liquids. We drank a large quantity of champagne at the New Year's Eve party. Woo! For example. trying to get you in the spirit.
That's a good example.
Ah, thank you. Yeah. You can, Javier, you can tell what's on my mind, right? I'm a little distracted today.
Yes.
I'm thinking about the party in a few hours.
Yes.
Okay, now, all right. Moving on. These are all used specifically for uncountable nouns, and we can't really use them for countable nouns. I can't say, for example, 1 cat, 3 cats. There are a large amount of cats. That sounds very weird. A large quantity of cats. We don't have much cats. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. And if I say, now look, if I say there were very little cats in the yard, that means something totally different. It doesn't mean few. It doesn't mean numbers. It means very tiny little cats who are very small sizes. So it changes the meaning entirely if I use a little or very little with a countable noun. It totally changes the meaning, in fact. Okay, there's a good number of quantifiers which are used with both. Before we take a look at those, let me welcome Xingyu. Hello, Xingyu. How are you today? How are you?
I'm fine. I'm
Good.
sorry for being late.
No problem. No problem at all. This kind of class you can join anytime. It's not a big deal. Okay, actually most of my classes, pretty much all of my classes, I don't care when you join, really. Doesn't make any difference. Okay, we've got a lot here. Now this should be easy. We should be able to zip through this list, just simply because it doesn't really matter. For most of these, it doesn't really matter what noun you choose, because they will work for countable or uncountable. But let's just give it a try, see if we can come up with some more good co-locations. Heidi, you make a sentence with all.
Okay. All. No. All students laughed for teacher's joke.
Okay. All the students laughed at the teacher's joke.
At teacher's joke.
Yeah, speaking of co-locations, there's a verb preposition. You laugh at something or someone. Of course. All right. Good job. Okay, Moham, enough.
I don't have enough time to study English. So I was going to ask you about this because I have used like little time and now enough time. So how did that work out?
Works out well. Enough time is another very common collocation, not plural.
Oh, yeah, got it now.
Sure.
Because enough works with both, with uncountable and countable. Okay.
That's correct. That's right. Exactly right. And enough time is, wow, none of us have enough time. I mean, that's a very common collocation. It's a good example. Okay, Javier, now we're looking at, not only are these quantifiers, more and most, but obviously they're comparative and superlative. They're used to introduce comparative and superlative adjectives as well, which of course are used to modify nouns. So how could you use more or most as a quantifier?
Well, I could say I wish to speak more languages, or
Sure.
The language that I speak most is English.
Okay. All right. I wish to speak more languages. Yes, that's definitely a quantifier, and it's also comparative, right?
Okay.
More languages than you did before.
Yes.
And okay, their second sentence, the language that I speak most
Most.
is English. Okay,
Mm,
wait a minute. The language that I speak the most is English.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a quantifier. Now we use it slightly differently in this sentence structure, but yeah, all right. Yeah, all right. That'll work. Okay, Heidi, how? Oh, nope, Xingyu's back. Xingyu, are you there?
Hi, teacher. I'm back. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
no problem. Xingyu, can you try using less and least in a sentence, one at a time, as a quantifier?
The my least movie is the horror movie.
Okay, wait a minute. The least movie. Hmm. That. Hmm.
My
Not sure about
my
that one.
least movie. My least movie is a horror movie.
Your least movie. Do you mean the movie, the type of movie you like least
Oh, mm.
is a horror movie or are horror movies? Is that what you're saying?
The movie I like least
Okay.
is a horror movie.
All right. The movie I like least is a horror movie. Okay, that's better. Okay. Also, by the way, you can use least with amount. The least amount of people go to horror movies, something like that. So this can be in conjunction with amount, used as a quantifier. Again, Xingyu, can you try one with less?
Less. Uh, the less. Uh, the less amount of people like to reading book.
Okay. Okay. First of
Like
all,
to read
we don't really need amount. You can say less people. All right. You can
okay.
just put less in
Less
front
people
of the
like
noun.
to read books.
Like to read. Thank you for changing that to the infinitive. To read. That's correct. Um, yeah, we can't use less people liking. Less people like. Well, less people like reading. Well, yeah, we can use that. Reading books. Less people like to read books. Actually, we can do it either way. Come to think of it. Although many people don't consider it, no, are, and none are both quantifiers as well. Heidi, can you give us an example?
Okay, I bought some chocolate bars and put them on the table, but there was none left.
Okay, there was none left. Notice that none, okay, good example. None, notice that she used it as an object noun. It would be I think it's impossible to use none as a subject noun. None people, none sand. There was none sand on the beach. That doesn't make any sense. We're going to be using none with object noun, but there was none. Okay. Referring back to something. Referring back to something. There was none left. All right, something you've already mentioned. So in a way, it's kind of almost working like a pronoun. Okay, how about no?
There was no chocolate. left.
Oh, that's it.
My husband might have eaten all.
Did he? Okay, very good. So in this case, you can notice that no is used for the subject noun, no chocolate left. All right, very good. No people like to read. Okay. Okay, so that's why that's how we use no and none as quantifiers. Moham, try using not any.
I don't have any pets.
I don't
And
have
yeah,
any pets. Okay.
or any pet. Any pet? Yeah, I don't have any pet.
That's right. And okay, good job. You're contracting do and not, and that's perfectly fine. Don't have any. All right. Notice the slight difference in how we have to use this phrase with a do not have any pets. Okay. So the not comes before the verb. Not have any pets. So it gets broken up slightly when we use this quantifier phrase. Sometimes, it doesn't have to be. There are not any people at the party. Okay, so it doesn't have to be when we're okay. But sometimes it is, depending on our sentence structure. This one can be broken up. Okay, Javier, some. Some is easy. Some is also used a lot by English speakers.
I made some new friends in school today.
All right. I met some new friends in school today. Great. Perfect. Some is used well, it's just used a lot. It's very versatile. It can be used subject, object, yeah, basically any word, and be co-located well. Okay, Heidi, how about any?
Any. Do you want any sugar in your coffee?
Okay, very good. Do you want any sugar in your coffee? Okay, that's very good. And all right, let's use in a positive sentence. Note that any also gets used as a quantifier a lot for negatives. I don't have any sugar for your coffee. I hope that's okay. Okay. So don't have any is very common phrase. It's used a lot for negative phrases as a negative quantifier. Oh, I think I skipped Zingyo. Zingyo, a lot of.
I have a lot of energy now.
Do you? That's good news. Very good. A lot of energy. Now, a lot of is often used, that's a good example, energy, abstract noun. A lot of is used for a lot of abstract nouns. Ooh, there we go, right there. All right, indeed. Okay, a lot of energy, a lot of problems, a lot of money, a lot of well, a lot of things. So this is a common one to use for uncountable nouns, and a lot we use it quite a lot for abstract uncountables. The people in that country don't have a lot of freedom, right? Things like that. All right, Moham, lots of.
We have we have lots of things to do and little time to do any.
Okay. Lots of things to do. Okay, right. That's great. All right, things is countable. Lots of cats. Why is there any difference, Moham, with a lot of and lots of? A lot of
Not
problems,
at all.
lots of
Not at
problems.
all. It's the same, exactly the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, there's no difference in meaning there. And okay, a lot of problems, lots of problems. Okay, that's uncountable. Cat, a lot of cats, lots of cats. We use it the
I
same
think the
way.
only thing that we should care when we are writing is about the A. In a lot of the A shouldn't be connected to the lot. It should be always be separated.
Oh yeah, sure.
Other than that, yeah, it's pretty easy.
Right. Okay, good point. Yeah. All right. Lots of. By the way, in normal English reduced speech, this is one of those phrases that gets really reduced in normal speech. Lots of. We have lots of problems. Lots of. Normal reduced speech. Yeah, it's one of those really reduced phrases. Okay. Last one in this group, Javier, plenty of.
I know how to cook. I know how to cook plenty of recipes.
Okay, recipes.
Yeah, recipes. Yes.
Yeah, that's a tricky
Recipes.
word. It definitely looks like it. It does not look. It is not spelled like it sounds. I understand that. Recipes. It's actually a 3-syllable word. Recipes. Recipes.
Recipes. Recipes.
First syllable stress. That's it. Plenty of recipes. Great. Javier, come to my house because I have to cook New Year's Eve dinner. You can do it. I don't want to do it. I have to work all day, and then I'm going to have to scramble to make food. I'm not happy about that. Okay. Let's look at countable nouns now. All right. Now these countable nouns. All right, can only be used with things that you can actually count. And by the way, if you're trying to figure out, and even I do this, I run across nouns and I have to consider, wait a second, do I need an article, a, an, or the, and what usually determines that is if it's countable or uncountable. And sometimes even I get perplexed, confused, because there are several nouns which in one, for example, steak that Javier mentioned before, that can be countable in one situation, but it's uncountable in another situation, depending on context. So even I have to consider. One way to do that is I just run through my mind. I put a number in front of it. Okay, 3 steaks. If I put a number in front of it, would it make sense in the sentence? Okay, obviously, in Javier's sentence, I had a bit of steak for dinner or whatever. Would it make sense? I had 3 steaks for dinner. Well, yes, it would, but of course that would be crazy to say you had a small portion. A bit of steak would make a lot more sense. So sometimes just mentally putting a number in front of it will help you determine if it's countable or uncountable. Before we practice this set, I do want to look at a few with the asterisks here. Few, very few. There's a slight difference in meanings here. Few, very few mean that there is not enough of something commonly. General rule of thumb. I don't really consider this to be a hard and fast rule. Generally, the underlying implication, all right, is that there's not enough. A few means that there's not a lot, but there's enough. So, okay, saying we have very few tomatoes to make the sauce, there's an implication I don't have enough tomatoes for the sauce. If I say, yeah, we have a few tomatoes for the sauce, there's an underlying implication that I've got enough to make it. Similarly, earlier we looked at little, which is used for uncountable nouns. Same thing. there's a subtle underlying implication, very little. We have very little tomato sauce left. There's an implication that it's not enough tomato sauce. Sure, we have a little tomato sauce. Again, same idea, that there's probably enough to serve. Okay, that being said, let's take a look at some of these. Heidi, going to go back to you with many. Sorry, you broke up there.
Many. Many people go to the shrine to pray the happiness of the year.
Okay. Very good. Many, of course, is often used with people. Many women, many men, many children, with plural nouns to talk about people. That's also a very common, super common collocation. All right, good example. Moham, a few, or very few. Take your pick.
I have very few. I have very few. I have few eggs to. I have a few eggs for the cake.
Okay. All right, again, I have a few eggs for the cake, so it sounds like he's got enough eggs. All right.
I think
Okay.
I should consider working in a dairy after all, because the second example was about the milk and now about eggs. So
That's okay. Yeah, really, that's okay. I mean, that's the first thing I think of, when I'm giving the example, is because that would be a common example. I mean, common and very practical. So it works simply because this is a very common human problem, and it's very normal. Okay, we also use a few with people. A few people think, for example, or very few people believe in that. Okay. Now, there you go. Very few people believe in that. Do I really mean not enough? Not necessarily. So that general idea or underlying idea doesn't work all the time, frankly. I could, I could say very few people actually believe in fascism. Well, does that mean there's not enough fascists? No, I'm not saying that at all. I think it's a very good thing that very few people believe in fascism. So obviously that statement, I'm not trying to imply that we need more fascists, for heaven's sakes. That would be crazy. Okay. Anyway, Javier, let's look at a number of.
There is a number of things to do before celebrate New Year.
Yes, there is. There is a number of things to do. Notice the verb. There is. Should we use there is a number of things to do, or should we use there are a number of things to do?
There are.
Tricky.
I think both.
Both. That's a tricky one. Okay, wait a minute. Let's just so we can visualize it. I'm gonna type it out here. Okay, now that's tricky. All right, hang on. Give me a second. Let's talk about that for a minute. There is a number all right, I'll do the shortened version. There's a number of things to do. Should it be there is a number of things to do? Or should it be there are a number? Actually, a number is one thing, right? But since this is a quantifier, the problem is, because we have there, okay, let me rephrase the sentence. Let's see here. Okay, wait a minute. Let's reword this. A number of things. Let's make that our subject noun without there, which is a little bit distracting because we have to restructure our sentence with there. A number of things. Now, do I say need or needs to be done? Does that make any sense? A number, one, he needs, it needs to be done. A number of things needs to be done. Does that seem to make sense? Not really. So actually, a number of things need to be done. Now, this is a weird exception in English where normally the biggest mistake in verb conjugation is when we have a prepositional phrase after our subject noun. A number needs. Okay. A number needs to be added. Okay. For example, I know I'm going off track here a little bit, but this is actually important to understanding some quantifiers. A number needs to be added in. Okay, let's try that. Now that makes sense, right? It is a number, needs. All right, subject-verb agreement. You got to conjugate the verb properly. This sentence makes sense. So we have to be aware that when we use some of these phrasal quantifiers, there are plenty of cases where there's additional information added after the subject noun with a prepositional phrase, and we should ignore the prepositional phrase when it comes to conjugating the verb, not when we use quantifiers with of. Then we can ignore that, and our actual subject noun is this. Things need to be done. This is just a number. This is just a quantifier. This is a unit that we can ignore. Things need to be done. All right? So in actuality, this should be there are a number of things to do. Okay? Everybody get that? We have to consider these a little bit differently. We're not really introducing a prepositional phrase with the ofs here. We have to think of the whole thing as a unit, like a number, like a different thing to describe whatever the next noun is. That's going to be our subject noun, and that's what we have to worry about conjugating the verb with. So this is a very tricky thing that often trips up a lot of people. I can't tell you how many times I see this mistake. I teach students IELTS and TOEFL writing, for example. This is an extremely common mistake where I see a countable noun after this quantifier, a number of, and I'll see like a number of cat. And I see this mistake over and over again. It's so common. I don't know why, but it has to be, it's only for countable nouns, so we have to have a plural noun after. A number of means more than one, so it has to be followed by a plural noun. That's a super common mistake, honestly. Okay. Moving on. Xingyu. Several. Actually, while you're thinking, Xingyu, does anybody have any questions about this little side lesson? Or did I explain it well enough?
No question.
No
You
question?
explain
Okay.
that very well.
Okay. Well, it was sort of an impromptu part of the lesson, so I didn't really plan that part. I just realized how important that was. Okay, several, Xingyu.
Several. Uh, I have several friends.
Do you? That's good. Okay. Several
I don't
friends.
have friends.
Okay. How many is several? There's
Mm.
a question to ponder.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 is several. Okay. Now, okay. You know, some quantifiers like several, in the eye of the beholder, how many is several? Several trees? There are several trees in the yard. How many is several? I don't know. I don't have an answer. It's up to the speaker, their concept of several. Okay. So several friends, that's a perfectly good sentence, and it's a good collocation. But how many is that? I don't have the answer for you there. I don't know.
More than 2. But
More than
it,
2. You think?
but it more than 2. But it's less than 10.
All right. Well, let me show you something else we do with several, actually. Several dozen people. All right. Several hundred people. Several thousand people. Okay. So several is a little more versatile. We can add these other obviously number words to make several a little bit clearer. So several by itself is, I don't know, probably less than several dozen we would use for, I don't know, 36 or more. Again, I don't really have an answer for you, but we can modify that slightly to be clearer. Okay, Heidi, next one.
There are a large number of cars in the parking lot.
Okay, basically the same as a number of, we're just putting a large in front of it, a large number of cars in the parking lot. Excellent. Good sentence. Great. You use the there. Okay, did you say there is or there are?
There.
There are. There are. Okay. Okay, good job. All right. Great. Moham, same thing. Again.
There are a number of luxury items that a human being can bought in his lifetime. Can buy in his lifetime.
Okay.
There
Okay.
are yeah.
There are a great number of. All right.
Although I would
Okay.
use, yeah. Although I would use here a great variety or a large variety of,
Okay.
yeah.
I think. All right. Can we use? Okay. Let's. Thank you. I was getting to that. Can you think of other quantifiers? This is not a comprehensive list. Absolutely not. Okay, a variety. Interesting, Molheim. Can I a variety of luxury items? So obviously it works for countable nouns. Can a variety, and this is a quantifier, you're absolutely correct. Can this be used for uncountable nouns?
Like a variety of milk. No, you can't. We can't use
Variety
it
of
with.
milk.
Won't work like that. So it's only with the countable
Okay.
items.
Very good. So a variety belongs on this list we're looking at right here. Excellent. How could I say a variety of milk? There is a way to say it.
Different types of milk.
Thank you. A variety of types of milk.
Ah, yeah. I
That would
heard it
work.
types.
All right. in this case, really our countable noun is types, and now of milk is a prepositional phrase we're adding. But okay, variety of types of milk. Sure, we've got.
Can we say variety types of milk without of the first of? Can we omit the first of, like delete it? So it will, that sentence would be like a variety types of milk. And variety here will be like an adjective, types like a noun, and
Do you mean to say? Are you trying to say various? Right? Various
yeah,
types of milk were
yeah,
available in the
yeah,
store.
yeah.
We've got cow milk, goat milk. We've got rabbit milk. We've got monkey milk.
And drought milk, which is the best always.
Yeah, okay. Okay, all right. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Last one on our list, and then we'll see if we can think of any others here. Javier, a majority of. Ooh, that could be interesting. Try that one.
A majority of legislators vetoed the new law.
Legislators. Whoops. I think I got muted. Oh, no, I'm back. A majority of legislators
Vetoed the new law.
Okay. What was that? What, the new law?
On approval, vetoed. I don't know what's the word.
Approved the new law or voted for the new law?
Yes, voted.
Okay. I wasn't sure of the verb you were using. Threw me off. Okay. A majority of legislators. Now that is a very good, very obvious use of majority. Absolutely. Now, of course, I have no idea why, if we have a majority of, why not a minority of? It seems to me, it stands to reason that, of course, this should also be on the list. If a majority is on the list, why not a minority? Okay, keep in mind that a majority of, or a minority of, can be used as a quantifier, and it was a very good example because when we vote, the majority wins. That's what voting is. So that's an excellent example why we would use it as a quantifier. But also, majority or minority can be used as a noun. So we may phrase it differently. The majority voted for the new law.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So a minority of belongs on the list. What else? We've got like 5 minutes. Actually, are there other quantifiers that we can think of that we haven't looked at?
A pile of.
A pile of. And how would I use that in a sentence? Heidi, that's a good one. How can I use that in a sentence?
A pile of papers on your desk.
Okay. All right. A pile of papers. Right. Again, this is where we have
Were on your desk.
were. Yeah. On your desk. Okay. Again, using the plural verb. A pile of books is. I was thinking a pile of manure. Igor and I were thinking a lot alike there. Okay, a pile of papers. Now, oh, this is interesting. Heidi, is this papers countable or uncountable?
Non-countable.
Ah, very good. because we often use a pile of money, a pile of manure, really, fertilizer.
Sometimes it's countable, no?
What's that?
Always non-countable. I think sometimes,
Paper?
yeah,
No, paper is
like,
one of those tricky words. It can be
like a
countable or uncountable.
document.
That's right. So paper is one of those tricky words. Some of those tricky words are uncountable are materials like glass.
Yeah, yeah.
So of
But
course we have.
we say paper as a document.
Yes, that's right. He has a paper he needs to sign. Sure. As a document, it can be countable. Absolutely, you're right. As a newspaper, we often use paper as a short form of newspaper. It's countable. Right. But papers, in general, like a whole group of small things, is uncountable. So you're right. And a pile of would be used for uncountable. Good. Absolutely. A pile of manure, a pile of sand. Okay. Can I use it for countable? Can I say a pile of cats? A pile of dead cats in the yard. That's horrible. What a horrible vision. What am I thinking? So we can use it for uncountable, but wait a second. A pile of pineapples. Why not? I think we can use that for both, actually, now I think about it. Wait a second. I think that's fine. I have a pile of fruit on my table in the kitchen. Well, that's uncountable. Sorry. A pile of leaves. A leaf, many leaves. Sure. Okay. Good one. More unusual quantifier, but this is a quantifier that a pile of papers, a pile of money, pile of manure, are very common collocations. Some quantifiers we haven't looked at today. We looked at really common ones that are used with a lot of different things, but there's a lot more there are a lot more quantifiers that are used more specifically co-located with specific things. So there's a great deal more of these quantifiers that are used. Okay, Igor, outside the class? A bunch, sure. A bunch of bananas, a bunch of grapes, sure, a bunch. So there you go. Bananas obviously are countable. All right, a bunch of, can I use it with uncountable? A bunch of money? That sounds weird, right? Bunch of trees, okay. A bunch of, we have a bunch of freedom in this country. Does that sound right to you? Doesn't sound right to me. It sounds nuts. Okay, a bunch of bananas, I'm thinking that's a bunch is only countable. Unless somebody can prove me wrong, I don't see how I could be wrong. I'm just thinking of these on the fly. Can anybody think of another one? Moham, can you think of another quantifier?
No, actually, maybe
How about this?
lack of
How about a lack of?
patience.
A lack of patience. And you know what we have right now? We have a lack of time.
Oh,
Because
only 2 minutes left.
yeah, because this class is just about to end.
So, can I ask a final question?
Sure. Shoot.
Yeah, it's about using the auxiliary verbs like is and are with like with papers, a pile of papers. We used are because they are and here they are countable, right? And they are in the plural form. Paper is countable and it's in the plural form, so that's
Right.
why we used were, right?
That's correct.
Uh, so
Ah,
if I have like a lot of milk,
Wait
there
a
are a
minute.
lot of milk on.
Wait a
With
minute.
milk, should we?
I can
Yeah,
change
yeah.
that. I can say a pile of paper was on your desk. That also works, actually. What's your example?
Like with milk, if we are saying milk, will we use were or was?
Okay,
A
let's try
bucket
it.
of milk
A bucket of milk.
was hanging on the roof, from the roof.
Yeah, you're right. It
Yeah,
would be
on the
from
roof.
the roof.
Yeah, the same.
A bucket of milk was hanging from the roof. We obviously can't say were. Yeah, when we use an uncountable, we have to use a singular verb form. A pile of paper was on your desk. A bucket of milk was hanging from the roof. Right. With one of these quantifier constructions with an uncountable noun, yes, we're going to use a singular verb form. That's right.
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
A bucket of
Thank you
milk
all.
was hanging from the roof above the dead cats, above the pile of dead cats. Happy New Year. Bunch of
Happy New
bananas.
Year. Okay.
Yeah.
My
Okay.
teacher.
Thank you very much.
Bye, you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll see you again
See you
real
later.
soon here on Verbal.
See you in about